Hello and welcome to the Minds on the Frontline Podcast. This podcast is dedicated to meaningful conversations that inform, educate, and inspire frontline workers, their families, and the public. Our mission is to shed light on the mental and behavioral health challenges faced by those on the front lines while providing valuable insights and real-world solutions. Minds on the Frontline is brought to you by the Frontline Strong Together 5 program. FST5 offers streamlined access to behavioral and mental health services along with crisis resources for Michigan's Frontline 5 workers and their families. This support encompasses all professional, part-time, and volunteer firefighters, EMS personnel, law enforcement officers, corrections officers, and 911 dispatchers in Michigan, as well as their immediate family members. First responders and mental health experts have collaboratively created FST5 to provide 24/7 live support, effective resources, and cutting-edge services aimed at preventing and alleviating PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental and behavioral health challenges related to frontline work. Need help now? If you are a frontline worker in Michigan or an immediate family member facing any crisis, whether work-related, substance abuse, depression, relationship issues, finances, or other concerns, please reach out by calling 1-833-34-STRONG or visit fst5.org for more information. I'm Jeff Lassers, one of your hosts. I'm a professional firefighter, paramedic, educator, and content creator. Minds on the Frontline is co-hosted by Mike Mattern, also a professional firefighter and paramedic. In addition, Mike is a peer support team member for his fire department and the FST5 program. In this episode, we are joined by Michael Mr. G. Gillespie and David Roberts from Mind Body Reconnect. Mr. G is a licensed master social worker, a certified advanced alcohol and drug counselor, and a pioneer in integrating mental and physical health practices. David is a former Army infantry soldier turned social worker who brings his firsthand experience with trauma and healing to the conversation. Together, our guests offer a unique and powerful perspective on the importance of somatic skills, which are simple, body-based techniques used to regulate stress and restore balance to the nervous system. These skills are particularly useful for frontline workers, offering a reset of our nervous system. During this episode, we discuss how somatic skills can help shift the body from a fight or flight state into a rest or digest mode by engaging the nervous system. We explore several easy evidence-based techniques that anyone can integrate into their daily life to manage stress more effectively. Finally, we discuss how building a consistent somatic practice can strengthen resilience and support long-term mental and physical health. Please like, follow, and subscribe to all Minds on the Frontline podcast social media channels and check out the episode description for more details. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Wonderful.
Welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you so much. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for traveling all the way down here. Why don't you guys tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where you do it, and please tell them really who you are as a person too, not just professionally.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Gillespie. Mr. G is kind of a nickname that followed me out of college, and I'm here to talk about emotional regulation and self-care practices. But I got into this when I was quite young, really not knowing what I was doing and looking for guidance. And what led me to these practices and the interest in this was early life experiences. Clinically we call them the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. So at that time, I really didn't know what to do, but I knew that what worked for me was movement, stretching, running, climbing trees, helping my dad in the garden, doing many...
Humaning.
Yeah, humaning. And so it just made more and more sense to me to kind of follow those practices.
Can you tell me a little bit more about those feelings that you found relief from in your movements and engaging in that? Like, was it angst, depression, anger?
Sadness, kind of confusion. What's my place? What's my role? So the movement helped move those sensations out of me. It didn't change what had happened or that type of thing, but it gave me a sense of relief and satisfaction. And
like a discharge.
Like a discharge, exactly.
Right on. So you connected with that so long ago, and then you connected with that professionally over all these years? Has this been your your foundational principle?
Yes, it has been as I got older, and then I had a chance to go to college, started studying psychology, and what I recognized was there was an overemphasis on symptomology, and labeling. This person is depressed, this person is manic, this person has an antisocial personality. And I thought to myself, for educational purposes, this has value. But if I'm going to be working with people, I'm really not interested in kind of putting them in a box or label. My thought was, how does that help me connect to the other individual? And how does that help me help themselves?
So it's like theoretical physics versus applied physics. You wanted to get in the field and see all Newton's laws in action, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I can understand how those would be to connect those dots. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Now I see the foundation level because you saw, I think, the real life application before you understood there was a recipe to all of this.
Right.
And then you wanted to connect the recipe back to people professionally.
Right.
And so how are you doing that professionally currently?
Well, I've been doing that for years, and one of the interesting things was that depending upon the agency and their kind of philosophy would determine whether or not they were open to considering what we call somatics today. But, in the 70s and 80s, we were using that when we talked about helping people so much. That's more of over the last 15 or 20 years.
So it was something that was grabbing hold of you. You knew it worked. There was evidence that it worked, but it wasn't really a Western medicine thing that we were applying in a clinical setting.
Right.
And now I think we're seeing way more of this clinical. Now we brought up the word somatic. And Mike and I have come to learn about somatic release a lot in this show and the power of that and connecting with our bodies. And we're going to get into more of that. But before we do, David Roberts, who are you? What do you do?
Hi, I'm David. It's nice to be here with you guys. So a little bit about me. I had a great time in the infantry, did a combat tour, came back, and was just sort of on fire. Just looking for meaning, purpose, trying to gravitate towards something that made sense. I didn't really find anything while I was still active duty. I came back, wanted to give back, tried doing nursing. I was not smart enough to do so. And my cousin said, hey, well, why don't you do some social work? You love to talk. You got the gift of gab, man. I said, okay, cool. I'll do that. So fell in love with it, wanted to continually give back, but I was still on fire. I wasn't really doing much for myself. In my senior year, I met one of Mr. G's students who was teaching wellness courses there, and took his class and just fell in love with it. I was like, wow, this is something. Like for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I'm on fire. I don't feel so depressed and in collapse. I was like, there's something to this. I just kept on learning from Mr. G and then continuing to practice for myself.
So these somatic practices are really in line with three key things that I make sure are part of every training that I do. It's got to be evidence-based, relevant, meaning it's got to apply to the people I'm talking to. And it's got to be cost-effective. And talking to you guys, it hits all three. If it's evidence-based, it's certainly cost-effective because you can do it anywhere without any equipment, right? You just need a quiet little place.
Right.
And it's relevant to people that have any level of stress. This is a first responder show, but even our first responder wives, husbands, and kids could even learn from this.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the stress you can go through, the cumulative stress, the fact that living a healthy lifestyle can release so much, but these types of practices are geared towards discharging these things a little bit more surgically, let's say, right? So go over that, tell everybody what a somatic release practice is, and then we'll get into the skills.
Sure. There is a variety of methods, and most often it will include eye movement, shifting the gaze of my line of sight from left to right, slowly and with intention.
Kind of like back in the old cartoons when you're trying to hypnotize me, right?
Yeah. Watch the watch.
But I mean, it kind of comes from that because I think what you're saying is the bilateral movement is engaging both sides of the brain.
Correct.
So that cartoon is playing on a bit of science there.
It absolutely is, and it's fascinating that was so. So there is evidence for that. And you can also do bilateral stimulation, not just with the eyes, but with your hands. Anytime you cross the right hand from the right towards your left and past your center line, your midline, that's bilateral stimulation. So there are many aspects of bringing the body online so I get this felt sense of the release as opposed to kind of intellectually thinking, relax, I'm not hungry, I'm not cold, I'm not tired. That only takes you so far.
So is it a distraction?
You're resetting the body and the nervous system, resetting your physiology through the vagus nerve.
So it's a good tool to have rather than going to maybe an unhealthy coping mechanism.
Right.
Or avoidance.
Right.
It may make things that I'm willing to avoid more realistic to approach too.
So if you fire it, you wire it.
Yeah.
And then over and over and over again, I reach for my favorite resets. So for some folks, that's cleaning the house 10 times a day. For someone else, that's, eating 3 pizzas. For someone else, that's sleeping for 2 days. For someone else, that's video games for a day and a half, drinking Monster drinks.
There's certainly a spectrum of things you could do repeatedly, and sometimes people think, oh, he's just really diligent with that. Like, no, it's an avoidance technique. But there's a fine line there, because some of these things are much healthier for you. Instead of going to my pack of smokes, and I go to my pack of, I like to drink nice tea.
A distinct Earl Grey.
Right.
Yes.
Like a good bone broth, actually.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into some of these 3 to 5 simple, attainable, evidence-based, easy to do, because we have a lot of people in our community that I think could appreciate it and utilize it, and it has never been more, I don't want to say cool, but accepted to find these practices and say, does it work?
So these skills are new for folks. Practicing them more than once is vital. So it's important that we're kind of looking at our own biases.
Now, how often would you say to start out with?
Sure. There's a lot of flexibility and variety in this, but if it's something new, if it's a new practice, something you're unfamiliar with, just something in the morning for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, a simple skill, somatic skill, and then maybe something at noon, and then maybe something at 7 o'clock at night to kind of have 3 things that you do. So you're doing like maybe 9 minutes, 10 minutes over the course of a day, and you're not doing 10 minutes all at once. Although you could if you have the time. It doesn't interfere with anything. But a 2 or 3 minute practice can start that reset, that somatic reset, that physiological reset for interoception and awareness and being aware of what's going on inside of my body, and then having sort of a skill to help you deepen your breathing, bring on some relaxation, bring on a sense of I'm okay. Hopefully we'll be able to do 5 today. We have 3 for relaxation, stress management, fight or flight, and then we have 2 before you go to sleep, which will also kind of help you rest and relax. But what's important about this is through your practice, some of these skills make people really, really relaxed and ready for sleep quickly. For other folks, based upon their ACEs and their triggers and where they live, and how they're managing the foods that they eat for brain health and heart health and their immune health. Those are factors we have to kind of be aware of. They are factors that will make a difference.
Let's get into it.
Okay. So the first skill is a simple skill that we'll do. And basically I'll be using my fingers. I'll be separating. I'll be doing the Vulcan hand separation here. And I'll be putting them between the ears. So if I can remove this for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can still hear you.
And separating the space here and putting the fingers. So my index finger and my middle finger are behind my ears. And the pinky finger and the ring finger are by the side of the temple. And just holding that for a moment. And one thing that happens is right away a difference in temperature change, which is kind of a reset for the body. And then sliding up and down and just breathing as you would normally breathe with that. And you can slide up. You can vary the rhythm, as I said before. You can make it kind of smooth and consistent, or you can slow it down and kind of lengthen it out and maximize the length that you slide up and the length that you slide down. And doing that for maybe a minute. For some folks, putting some lotion on your hands so that it's maybe a little smoother for you. I mean, you have to play with it. That's all part of this. Mm-hmm. Investing in your wellness is the other difference maker besides practice. Otherwise, it's kind of intellectual. It's on a piece of paper. It's something that's in your head that you think you know or may not know as well as you really think that you do because you're not practicing. It's the practice that is the difference maker. And then holding that for maybe 30 seconds or so. So one of the things that we're doing there are pressure points along the side of the temple there and behind the ear that help produce a sense of relaxation. And again, practice is the difference maker with this. Okay, so we have temperature, we have the influence of movement, we have the rhythm, and we have specific pressure points that kind of lead to some relaxation.
Okay, so the whole point of that is to stimulate the vagus nerve and to
tone it.
To tone it so that it will allow me to enter the rest and digest mode, to tip me in the favors of that scale towards that.
Towards sunny.
And now, when you say the temperature changed, my ears cooled down. Is that what you meant, or did you warm up?
Well, my hands, bringing my hands to my body, in this case, between the ears, kind of sandwiching them, there's going to be a temperature change. My body's going to be aware of that. Creates an awareness and kind of a self-soothing effect.
Yeah.
So we have...
I thought that was just the stressed mom look doing the... Apparently, it's like a natural thing you're supposed to do.
They've been on to something.
Yeah, I've made my mom make this face a lot.
Yeah.
Apparently, she was just ahead of her time.
Sorry, Mom.
Okay, that's one. What about the next one?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a simple practice that you can do in the morning before you wake up or right after you wake up, sometime around noon, and then sometime at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. 3 times a day to kind of get you used to it, to create a new habit.
Maybe to connect me to that vagus. Like the mind-body connection
Right.
in many ways is just acknowledging it makes a connection
Yes.
too.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that reset, connecting the mind and the body. So the next skill we'll be doing is basically I'll be crossing my body. So I'll be crossing the center line, crossing the midline. I'll put the right hand on the left shoulder and the left hand on the right shoulder. And I'll just be holding that, kind of like I'm hugging myself. I'm not trying to squeeze necessarily or create anything. I'm just trying to become aware of the posture. You can do this standing. You can do this seated. You can do it lying down. And just breathing as I need to breathe. And holding that position maybe a minute or so. And then slowly sliding the right hand down the left arm, extending so that the hand slides off the side, the arm, down the side of the hand, and off of the pinky finger. And then I would do the same with the left hand. I keep the left hand up there on the top of the shoulder, and I slowly glide the left hand down the side of the arm, down past the elbow, down off the pinky finger. And then repeating that maybe 5 times to 7 times.
When you talk about the breathing, is there any specific breathing technique to use while you're doing this? Or is it just kind of the slow, deep breaths?
So it's most effective to exhale as I slide the hand down the side of the arm. And it's with purpose, it's with intent. I'm not trying to speed it up or rush through it just to get it over with and say, why don't I feel better? I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
This isn't working.
Yeah. We have to check our own investment level.
It's like vitamins, maybe. You take your vitamins in the morning, you don't feel better that morning. It's the accumulation of vitamins over time that you don't even, it's imperceptible almost, but you feel better. You don't know why.
Sure.
But if you don't take your vitamins every day, they have less of an effect.
Yeah, it's the practice. Yeah.
I would say it's also like sort of like going to the gym, right? Like if I go once a week, feel sore and unmotivated. And
All right, well, that's number 2. And then give me a third one
Sure.
that I can integrate throughout my
Sure.
daily practice.
Sure. Again, the advantage of these, they're simple to do, 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. So far, you haven't
no
told me to go
special
buy
equipment.
anything. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So the third skill to kind of help us move towards rest and digest, placing my right hand in the heart space and just resting it there. And then making what we would call a crane's beak with my left fingers, bringing all the fingertips together, and then tapping. There's a space between the pinky finger and the ring finger. And tapping that or massaging that area for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So again, I have touch, I have movement, and I'm accessing a specific pressure point that helps relax. And with the right hand on the heart space, or you could do it with the left hand either way, I'm crossing the midline, crossing the center line for that bilateral stimulation.
So it's not necessarily over your heart. It's just the fact that you're reaching across. So you could do either way.
Correct.
Because again, bilateral stimulation.
Crossing the midline.
Yep. And both sides of the brain seem to harmonize
Right.
and do the things it's supposed to do.
It helps with, again, what we call resets.
So that's 3 easy ones that I could certainly see throughout the day. I'm a big fan of yin yoga. Big, deep stretches.
Oh, dude. We
I
do it at work.
Yeah, it's great. And I see the similarities because a lot of times you're using multiple parts of your body, you're reaching across, you're doing things, and I feel great going. I even feel good about to do it because I know I'm about to get a little relaxation from it.
Right.
But I could see integrating this even easier because I don't need to stop and get on the floor and do all these things. And it's 3 minutes per stretch, and I got like 8 different stretches and all that. This seems pretty simple, but what advice do you have for somebody who's like skeptical, like, cool, keep tapping your wrist, bud?
Yeah. Well, I would say do some research, do some reading, take a look at your own bias. What kind of thoughts do I have that this is mumbo jumbo?
You know what I put this in the bucket of? Can't hurt, might help.
Yeah.
Even if I was skeptical,
Right.
I wouldn't be like, well, this guy's trying to get me to buy something. Like, no, dude, just you need to breathe for a couple minutes and you need to like get both your sides of your brain going, and it turns this button on.
Yeah.
It's almost like breaking it on so simply. Oh, well, I'll do that. When you put it that way, it's like, what way did I need to put it?
Yeah, but if you look at it, I mean, you brought up in yoga. Oh, okay, you're going to go do yoga.
Mats and loofahs found their way into the firehouse.
Yes, but it's the same thing. It's what it took was somebody to try it. You brought them in.
It took the right people to try it, show the application can be manly or powerful or alpha or whatever, and show that it isn't, quote, in the pink and cuddly sections.
Yes, but it took that, hey, listen, I did this. This is what it did for me
Yeah.
to get that ball rolling.
Somebody had to make it cool.
Yes. And that's what I would say to everybody is just try it.
Right. Well, here's my thing. So if I'm going to get anybody to try anything, it's probably going to be the ones for sleep, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like coming back from a run.
Sleep is,
so I can
sleep
see
is where it's at.
looking for tricks to get me to help getting back to sleep over the 2, 3, 4 o'clock run. Now I'm back in bed. I don't want to look at my phone, but I'm like kind of wired. So I'm going to scroll for a second, but that light's horrible for me. I know this, but I'm doing it. Right.
Yep.
And then I also try to do breathing techniques, box breathing, and it does work. And I'm generally exhausted now because I have 2 little kids. But help out some other people to help these types of skills to get them in that sleep mode.
Sure. So we have 2 simple ones again. The first one you can do on both sides of the body, the left hand and the right hand. I'll take my right hand and I'll put it just in the crease of my arm with my palm facing upwards. And again, you can do this in bed, you can do it standing, you can do it sitting. And I'm going to tap in a straight line down the middle of my forearm, past my ring finger and my middle finger. So I'm just going to gently tap and work my way down slowly. And then I'll start up again at the midpoint where the elbow bends, tapping that downward slowly.
What's going through your head when you're doing this at home? Like were you trying to like not let thoughts appear? Are you a mantra? You're just thinking about your breathing?
I'm really concentrating for myself on the touch.
So you're trying to get away from all the other things.
And the wonderfulness of that, and that this is a tool that I can use, and I know that it's effective.
And now, is that like a way of being present with it?
Yes,
Okay.
being present with it. Okay. And then after I tap that downward for maybe 4 or 5 or 8 times, then I'm going to put my hand in the center part again, where the elbow bends, and I'm going to inhale and exhale and just slide it past and off. And I'll probably do that 3 or 4 times. And then I would do the same practice on the opposite side of the body. And you can start with either hand on either side. So
then you're laying down in bed doing this?
You can lay down in bed.
Doesn't even matter.
You can do it 5 minutes before you go to bed.
Yeah, like in preparation for getting ready for bed.
So one of the things for this method in particular, there are a series of pressure points down the middle of the forearm that go to the end of the middle finger that help us relax and calm the mind.
Okay.
Okay. So that's kind of the purpose. That's what I'm doing. It's targeted. It's specific.
What you're saying is there's a wire that runs through that thing, and if you just wiggle her a little bit, she's going to make you feel better.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of what it is. Yeah.
So one of our favorite quotes is from Nietzsche. And he said that there's more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy.
A lot of lessons learned in your DNA that my brain can't comprehend.
Yeah, that we've kind of gotten away with technology and reading. And the internet has the answer for everything.
It has a answer. It doesn't mean they're correct, but they'll get answers.
Right.
If you're looking for them, you'll find them.
And I think that's one thing doing this show, and we're learning these, what people would consider outside the box type things, right?
Yeah.
But when you really try them and you really do them, they do work. I know for a fact we had like the cold plunge and the sauna
Deep
and
diving.
box breathing.
Yep.
It works. You know what I mean? So for
The box
people-
breathing alone.
Yes.
If people could just learn to tap into that when they need to, it's like a cheat code for staying calm when you're angry or you're in the moment or you just got to get that warrior mind calmed down to get, we don't got time to freak out right now.
But all these answers are simple answers.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, you're not getting on the, like you're talking about, get on the internet.
They're too good to be true.
Yes, they're so simple that you're like, there's no way this can
Right.
work.
Exactly.
Nature's medicine
Right.
couldn't be that easy.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we
But-
forget that.
Right.
And they've been around forever is the other
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Is, you talk even like
well, you
get
can't sell
into
anything. It's like trying to sell
Mhm.
fasting.
Yes.
Nobody can sell fasting. It's not doing anything.
Yes.
You can't monetize it.
But you look at these things and they've been around for years and they've worked for years, but we've gotten away from them because of the new, better way of doing things. But in all reality, these have been around for years. Like I said, the acupuncture, the breathing, the cold plunge, you name it. You know
So
what I mean?
to prove that to people, direct people as we close out here, where can they find credible information about somatic practices? Because what you guys are talking about is just like 1/8, 1/10, 1% of what's out there. There's practitioners we've talked to that just teach somatic breathing release techniques. There's all sorts of this stuff out there. So where would I find information about it?
You could literally probably go on ChatGPT. Please find me reputable sources for somatic practices.
Evidence-based.
Evidence-based, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the leaders in this research are, Stephen Porges, Peter Levine, being a somatic psychologist and practitioner in the field, Bessel van der Kolk, his research,
Pat Ogden,
Deb Dana.
Deb Dana, Gianna Fisher.
Mr. G and Dave Roberts.
Yeah.
Mr. G. Dave Roberts, heck yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for big name stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, if
If
they're
you're-
published and
Yeah.
they have a lot of money behind them.
But they're not on our podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But those are good resources to Google
Yes.
or ChatGPT to kind of like
Right.
at least get a background on it and
Sure.
understand that when you do Google it, you're going to find peer-reviewed evidence that is backed up that empirically we can leverage parts of the body through engaging in bilateral stimulation and getting to a better rest and digest, not living in our all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Because before we had you guys in here, we've talked to people about PTSD, acute stress, and all these other things, and we're always talking about the ramped. And we talk about that far end of the spectrum where you're like, you've seen the things, you've done the things, you've been through the things. But that cumulative everyday corrosion really breaks you down. And these are the types of things that can dust off that oxidation off my body.
Exactly.
I can live a little bit and stay in that moment. And I'll tell you what, Mr. G, this podcast in general, the 50-some episodes in this, that's the one thing, and that's why I bring it up when you were reminding yourself to stay in the moment, is it's all about that. Being in that moment, recognizing what is and what is not, and just being a part of what it is. And you'll find out if you just keep doing that over time, you're a pretty happy dude.
Oh, yeah.
Or dudette.
Yeah. No, I've learned, I've said it a million times, I've learned a lot doing this podcast. You know what I mean? And I actually take these things and apply them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it does work. They do work. Just give them a try.
Yeah. You do have to play with it, invest in yourself. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day. And you can even tie that into keeping a little journal for yourself. At 8 o'clock this morning, I did this movement. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I did this movement for this reset.
And journaling has its place, and people are doing it. That's the thing. And if you tag these types of things onto practices they're already doing, like the self-reflection in the journal, before or after I do this, and then I start my day. Man, I think people are very open to these things.
Yeah, tools.
Yeah.
Keeps you accountable.
Oh, I need 7 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
Or maybe wake up a little earlier, have some water, get a little stretch in. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank
We
you for coming on.
appreciate
Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
for the opportunity.
Appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Minds on the Frontline podcast. We have more great content coming out soon. Please check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. And make sure to like and subscribe to all Minds on the Frontline podcast social media channels. Thank you, and have a great day.